Hello everybody, I'm Jeffrey Przinski, and today I've got something special for y'all. One of the commenters on the video, Cliff Ramshaw, he actually was one of the developers on the game Star Trek New Worlds. And since everybody is very interested in Star Trek New Worlds and all the because this game is just a very different game in the library of Star Trek games that are out there. I wanted to interview Cliff to see if there was any insights that he can give us into this game. He agreed to do an interview over email, so I've sent him a few questions, and he was nice enough to send back. And let's get into our first question now. So the first question is, what was your role? He was a software engineer, rendering, and visual effects. How did Star Trek New Worlds come about? What was the genesis of this game? Was it really meant to be the answer to the success of StarCraft? And he replies with, so the first thing you have to know is that the original developers, of which I was a member, was a studio called Binary Asylum based in Bath, England. I think at the time we were playing more Command & Conquer and Warcraft in the office. We were working on a 3D arcade-style flight sim for Virgin. It was going to be a sort of a sequel to Binary's Zeowolf. Zeowolf, I think? I wasn't myself involved in the discussion, but at some point Virgin asked us to switch gears to develop a game for the Star Trek franchise. We chose to do a real-time strategy game and, since we already had a very sophisticated 3D engine, to do it in 3D, which was pretty novel at the time. What was the relation between Interplay and your company? Interplay was the publishing company that commissioned the game, and we were the development house writing it. So, question 4. Can you explain rendering and visual effects to someone who does not know game programming? Can you give some examples in this game? Rendering involves taking a geometric description of all the entities in the game, in this case tanks, buildings, and landscapes are comprised of triangles, figuring out where they appear to the camera projected to a virtual film plate, and then setting the correct pixel colors for the part of the film plane covered by these projected triangles. The pixel colors are augmented by textures or patterns that artists have painted over the geometric surfaces, and further by lighting effects computed by the orientation of the geometry with respects to the virtual sun. Visual effects are additions to the display that are visually not described by geometry. In the same way, examples of visual effects I worked on would be the concussion ring, various particle effects to simulate explosions, the drawing of the phaser beams and photon torpedoes, the lens flares, the Romulan cloaking device effect. 5. Did you work on other projects concurrently with this game? No, we were trying to get a second project going because we knew that was important to the long-term survival of the company, but we were unable to get a second deal. As a result, when Interplay took the project away, we were forced to close. That's unfortunate. Oh my gosh. Why does Star Trek New Worlds have so many resources? StarCraft has 3 resources: minerals, gas, and supply, while Star Trek New Worlds has many, many more. I believe that the designers felt that more resources would make the game richer and more complex, but in retrospect, I think that was a mistake. Thank you for agreeing with me on that. I was always very frustrated to try to work through the game and be like, oh gosh, which resource is it that I don't have enough of? Okay, alright. How long was the game in development? I'm struggling to remember. 2 years, I think, maybe 3? And then Interplay stopped paying us and we got a team over in the US to complete it. It took another year for them to finish it and release the game. The US team did little but remove unfinished or poorly working features and debugging. How did the team come up with the story? Was it revised a lot? I don't know. The 2 designers were ex-journalists working for a publisher of computer games magazines, so they had a lot of experience of writing. Was the game QA'd, quality assured, before release? Interplay sent an American QA team to sit with us in the last few months of Binary's development. So yes, there was some. I presume more QA was done in the final year of development in the US. How is the balance between the races determined? It kind of feels like all three races are just reskins of each other. And unfortunately, Cliff did not know. And to expand on my question a little bit more, to be honest with you, it just felt like every single race had one scout ship, had one attack ship, had one APC, had one, and then like at the very end of the tech tree, you can get something slightly different. Like the Federation had like that shield ship, whereas the Klingons had that heavy disruptor cannon ship as examples. All right. While playing the game, I noticed that there is a lag between issuing the order and the unit response time. What is the reasoning for this? I don't remember for sure. This may be a technical issue related to the way we designed networking into the game. I'm not even sure if the networking feature made it into the final game. It was very buggy. The order would be issued across the network, then received on all clients, and only then the response began. Would the response begin? How are the areas to drop mines determined? I've had some difficulty figuring that out in the game. Unfortunately, Cliff did not have any idea. Number 13. What is the difference between an advanced mine and a regular mine? I seem to remember it's the rate of mining. Number 14. What is your favorite part of the game and why? Well, I worked a lot on visual effects, so I wrote a little ditty. Phasers and lasers and photon torpedoes, lens flares and cloaks and concussion rings. These are a few of my favorite things. Yeah, that's me attempting to try to do a sing-songy voice, so yeah, I'm not quitting my day job, right? All right. What is the least favorite part of the game and why? I think the 3D camera as implemented just makes it way hard to play the game. And Cliff, I do completely agree with you on that. I really didn't use the 3D mode very much at all in this. And our last question, here we go. Any other closing thoughts you have had about this game that you would like to share? And Cliff responds with, it's a shame Interplay didn't trust us to finish the game. It would have been much more polished if we had completed it rather than the new team they hired, who of course had no experience of the game engine or the design. For the record, Interplay were within their rights to take the game away from us, since we'd come to the end of the agreed upon time in the contract. But it's not unusual for games to take longer than originally planned. Well, all right. Thank you so much, Cliff. This was really cool to have additional insight into this game. Really do appreciate it. And for anybody else who has other questions for Cliff, please feel free to leave comments below in this video. And Cliff, feel free to respond as you feel fit. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Catch you in the next video.